Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This time we're on episode 12 of season 4. Last time, a lot of crap went down. Quite a bit of stuff went down. We had Radcliffe's official, Radcliffe's betrayal being officially kind of revealed to the team towards the end of the episode. I think, throughout the episode, what was he doing? I remember like him getting caught at the end. But I think towards the beginning, my memory's foggy on like what his involvement was throughout the rest. He was mostly at home. He was mostly at home. At least his LMD was. Yeah, he and Ada both revealed that they actually had like a second working LMD already in position. So, me once again teetering on the edge of Clown College, as I thought it was going to be someone who was actually important. I mean, technically still important. Technically important. He did the decoy was himself. The LMD was actually himself, and he explained to Nadir at the end of it that he built the decoy of himself to keep the real him safe, because once Ada, the original Ada, failed to obtain the Darkhold from S.H.I.E.L.D., then he knew that they would be coming for him next because of the fact that an investigation would be launched into, and he knew that Fitz himself would launch an investigation into exactly how and why Ada failed, because he had worked with Radcliffe on Ada, so that stuff happened, and he's working with Nadir now. He is now working with Nadir, and she is going to take him to meet the Superior, whoever the hell that is, getting power broker vibes from the Superior, getting some power broker vibes from them. The first time we heard about them was when the Watchdogs actually got the order from the Superior to eliminate the Inhuman that was BJ, and then Nadir took care of that for them. So that was the first time we heard of them, and now we find out Nadir kind of telling Radcliffe that the Superior is the only one capable of actually protecting Radcliffe to the extent that he wants, or to the extent that he needs. So we have yet to meet the Superior. Don't know what to expect. I don't know if I should expect like a fresh face or like a familiar face, or if it's going to be someone new. Because I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier, the power broker was Sharon, or at least she was kind of maybe among like a network of power brokers. So with this one, I doubt it's going to be the same thing. I think it might just be one Superior who's actually working with subordinates and other people below them. So, because I think it's the Superior, so it's not like the Superiors, so or like anyone that is on like an equal playing field with them. So I'm pretty sure it might. I think it might have to be someone high within the U.S. government, or it might be someone high but within the criminal kind of underground, because the Watchdogs themselves are like very, very criminal. So if it's someone working kind of unashamedly with the Watchdogs, then it might be someone who's kind of maybe like high ranking within like the criminal underground, like a mafia boss or something. I don't know. Just a theory. But I guess we'll see when the time comes. But yeah, that wasn't it. And I think I had been wondering in that scene when Fitz discovered the truth and he shot the Radcliffe to prove that Radcliffe was a fake and that it was an LMD. I was wondering like what actually ticked him off. But then looking back at that scene, I think it was about Radcliffe's line being like, oh, my goal is to preserve life. It always has been. I think that might have been what ticked him off, because that is exactly what Ada, the first ever LMD, was actually designed for. She was designed to help save lives and to help be the shield and to help preserve lives. So I think like that kind of specific wording ticked him off, and being like, and him even leaning in to get a closer look at Radcliffe, being like, no. Could it be like even analyzing the eyes, because the LMDs have, I think, like copies and copies of the Deathlock eyes and everything. So yeah, and then he actually took a nearby guard's gun and then he shot him in the face to prove it, and then that LMD was henceforth disabled. So that's when he realized that the real Radcliffe is still out there. So that was that. But yeah, that was Radcliffe stuff. We had May. We had plenty of May. We had plenty of LMD May, and we had the real human May. So the LMD May spent the episode kind of contemplating and wondering, and eventually she kind of figured out she was an LMD, and then she had a scene confronting Radcliffe, and then we found out a bit more about her programming, the fact that like with Radcliffe being her creator and also like the creator of the LMDs in general, I think all their kind of unified programming does kind of present them with the kind of obstacle of not being able to attack Radcliffe or hurt him in any way, also to the point where they don't really want to, but also especially in May's case, because she's designed to think, she's designed to, actually replicate the real May to the extent of actually thinking she's a real May. She also wouldn't. She also doesn't want anyone else to find out that she's an LMD or that she's different in any way. So she has her own tensions and her own kind of secrets to worry about and to keep and everything. Which I mean, she's a spy, so shouldn't be too hard. So I think I am very intrigued to see how the LMD May actually kind of develops, because again, she's not like an enemy. Like she's not specifically an enemy. She herself is like an innocent piece of AI at this point. She's literally an innocent piece of AI. She's an AI identity that's been given scraps of May's memory, like enough to maybe pass her off and maybe enough to develop from. But she is not inherently evil herself. Like she herself has not wanted to kill anyone. She's kind of been doing her own thing, and then she's been given this huge kind of, truth to have to process quite literally, that she's an LMD. So I think I'm kind of on the fence about LMD. Man, I don't know whether I should root for her, because she's still like a creation of Radcliffe's, and like God knows what other programming he's got. I mean, she's meant to actually deliver she's meant to get the Darkhold to him. She is meant to actually find the Darkhold within Shield and then bring that to Radcliffe or to Ada and stuff. So I don't know whether or not I should root for her just yet, but maybe if they give her a change of heart halfway down the line, maybe we'll see what happens then. But that is the LMD May, and the real May is in the framework. They brought the framework back. After one mention in the very first episode of the season, and yeah, the framework is basically just like an AI kind of, like a mind palace of sorts that allows you to revisit memories and places, even in environments. So I mean, they tried it a bunch of times with May. They tried it first with the relaxing spa, which didn't work, and then they tried it with like a fight that she eventually came to realize wasn't really real. But then the actual kind of the one true memory that could keep her distracted was an altered version of the Bahrain memory. The alteration being, this time she gets to save the little girl that she killed all those years ago. This time she actually has to save her over and over and over again. So no trauma for May, no dark May, just like a. And I think, again, that makes me want to kind of see the kind of future we would like, at least the kind of future May we would get, because I think, like May having done that doesn't really affect much apart from what happens in season 2 with the Inhumans, like, or like all the stuff with the girl having been witnessed by Jiaying and Gordon. So I don't know exactly how much else would change if she hadn't done it. I mean, because I think maybe that would realistically lower tensions between Inhumans and Shield, and then that's what happened. But I'm not too sure otherwise. So I think, again, I really want to see what that kind of future would be and how that would pan out and how different the people would be too. Because then I think people would be like less afraid or intimidated by May. But I don't know if that's what she would want. But then even then, it's like, like May didn't really become hardened or intimidating or anything like that until she faced such like a traumatic kind of event. So yeah, I'm curious to see if they actually do go down that path. If they do, then I'm all the more for it. I'm all the more happy for that kind of exploration. But that is what she's going through. And then, speaking of tensions, we had tensions between Coulson and Talbot. The rest of the team actually formulated a plan to try and plant some surveillance on Nadir under the guise of Daisy going in and signing the Accords, which didn't work, because then there was a leak that told Nadir that, Coulson and I know her name, Elena. I know her name. I am not forgetting my girl Elena. I'm not forgetting her. There was a leak telling her that Coulson and Elena would be in her room trying to plant bugs and shit. So then she planted a bomb that knocked Elena out, and then guards caught them, and then that kind of put Shield even more through the ringer. And Talbot kind of being pissed that Coulson didn't listen to him about actually trying to be sneaky around Nadir and everything, and then Coulson accusing Talbot of being the leak and everything. So it's a whole mess. It's a whole kind of couples quarrel between the two of them. So God only knows where that's going to end up, but that was a failed mission and a half, so that didn't go too well. And then Elena, she had some stuff between Mac. I think the episode opened up with them two kind of, sharing the bed without any clothes on, so otherwise known as sex. Yeah, otherwise known as sex. And then them two kind of, probably not the first time. I highly doubt that was the first time. It was they seemed way too familiar with each other in that sense for it to be the first time. But who knows? But then Max spent the rest of the day kind of off the grid on a more personal kind of note, which we then find out by the end is actually to do with his daughter, Hope. When Ghost Rider mentioned that Mac had lost hope, he wasn't just talking about the feeling, he was talking about his daughter, his baby daughter that he had with his ex, Nicole. She didn't really last, like, more than a couple of days, maybe. Well, I think, no, wait, how long was it? I think it was like hours, wasn't it? Or how long was it? Oh, only lived 4 days. She only lived 4 days, so not a very long lifespan for her. She even said it was kind of touch and go. So I think then he said that was 11 years ago. So he went to spend the day with his ex to kind of help console her and help be with her during that time and like during that kind of memory. So it would have been her 11th birthday. She would have been 11 years old. So yeah, Mac used to be a dad. He used to be a father, and he used to. When he was with Nicole, they actually had plans for a future, but then they both lost they both lost hope and everything. And yeah, I mean, in time of that kind of tragedy, it's such a it's an even more kind of painful name to give your child, like hope, and then you lose hope, and yeah, and then they both kind of went their separate ways. And I think I'm kind of guessing it was also kind of mutual, like they both wanted to kind of be their own separate people afterwards and didn't really plan on getting back together and everything. So yeah, and hopefully Nicole is doing okay too. Hopefully she's kind of found like love, or she's found someone to be with as well. So, and I think, like, even from the way Matt described it, it didn't really seem like there was any bad blood between them. So that's all well and good. But yeah, so now Elena's kind of Elena found out that more kind of intimate detail about his past, and hopefully they kind of feel more connected now and everything, so that's all well and good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I've got from the last episode. So on to episode 12, so we'll find out exactly how May is going to be programmed even further to find and deliver the Darkhold to Radcliffe, and then who the superior is, hopefully, and all sorts of other jazz that this season has waiting for us. So yeah, on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 12. So yeah, this reaction, as always, will just be the highlights and the best bits of the episode. But if you guys want to catch the full-length version, that one will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. So that will be cool too. But yeah, on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4, episode 12. Let's go.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Koenig! Koenig! Double Koenig!
Roads? Where we're going, we
get the Koenigs back!
Curse my metal body, I wasn't...
Oh, and their targets. Their targets. Wait, do they know there's two of them? Do they know there's two of them?
Your zombie killing daddy now.
Ah, they don't know there's two of them. They don't know there's two of them. Oh no! Oh, it's the watchdog guy. It's the watchdog. God damn it! What do they want with the Koenigs? They're not inhuman. They're literally just twins. It's not like they duplicate themselves. They're just twins.
They've got Agent Koenig. I repeat, they've got Agent Koenig.
Yeah, that message is not at all going to get lost in translation. Not in the slightest.
He has the Darkhold. I gave it to him because he knows how to make things
disappear. The Koenigs are the ones who know how to make things disappear.
I gave it to Billy, so
yeah.
we know where to point the finger.
Big man with a taser. Take that away. What are you?
Agent Quake.
What's the latest, Sam?
Oh, he's a fan. He's a fan.
Well,
Who can blame him?
Who can blame him?
Is that an onion? Is that a peeled onion? Are they gonna make them cry? Are you gonna force them to cry until they give up the Darkhold? Feels like that's acid. Feels like that's acid. That's gotta be acid. Yeah, that's gotta be acid. Oh, I know him. He was in The Walking Dead. He was, I think, Justin in The Walking Dead. Yeah, I know him. Okay, might not be acid if he drinks it.
Vodka.
Oh, vodka. Okay, well, he is Russian.
Perfectly chilled. Pure.
Yeah.
The onion enhances the experience.
Ah,
A lot of people forget the old ways. Using the old ways.
All right,
not the eyes, not the eyes, not the eyes.
Let me get inside his head.
Oh, the framework. The framework. Torture him with the framework, maybe. Yeah, or like go back, revisit old memories, yeah. The Latin. Okay, this is demonic.
Only thing worse than a robot is a possessed one.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Who programmed you? Was it Radcliffe? Ada?
Could Ada herself program other... Oh, for fuck's sake. Just smack him. Just slap him.
Hiding behind the bar.
No, I think you got us. I think you got us flipped.
I mean, you're
He's still wearing the
literally
blazer.
wearing the same thing.
Yeah, he's still wearing the blazer in the suit. Yeah.
You have no idea what Billy did with the Darkhold.
A better world.
Then we want the same thing.
Not really, because you believe man is a superior thing, and the Darkhold transcends mankind in for ages.
I'm sorry. I just can't believe I'm sitting here with you. You know, this is. Oh, somebody pinch me.
Sam, she's not, and she doesn't.
Oh, hey, her name is Daisy.
Wait.
Daisy Johnson.
You're a superhero.
That she
And
is.
that's so
That she
awesome.
definitely is.
Did you know that online there's a library of fan fiction about Quake?
Did not need to know that.
Actually, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't
Oh my
forget I
God.
said that. Some of it a little on the steamier side.
There's
Not
Quake
that I've read it.
smut.
You hear things. Wow. I mean, they got you shipping with Black Widow. Drawings or they call you Quack.
The taste. Oh, the taste. Black Widow and Quake. Oh, the taste. Oh, God.
But what is a human if not a function of programming? You've been programmed by betrayal, abandonment, Ward, who you thought was your friend.
Oh,
Daisy,
don't
who
you
left
dare.
all, your father.
Oh, don't you dare. Nuh-uh. Radcliffe, you're pushing all the wrong buttons.
Sometimes we sat together. One time he showed me a picture of his new son, Leopold. He was so proud. I swear I'm telling the truth, Fitz. I can prove it.
No, Fitz is about to smack
It's
the
almost
Scottish
a
way
month
out of
ago.
him.
They did not suffer, labor to become what they are. They have great power, but they didn't earn it.
Huh.
They are unnatural things.
Huh.
We will destroy them. And then the thing that brought them upon us.
The
What
Kree.
was that?
Cerebral cortex
The
map.
Kree. You're gonna destroy. You're gonna take on the Kree. Good fucking luck with that, buddy.
Oh, God, he's building a bomb to destroy the
Oh,
Darkhold.
he built a bomb. A Darth Vader clock.
Never mind, false alarm.
The first one. LT.
The
got us
first
all
Koenig.
shield.
The first of the
You have to pick
Koenigs.
up LT. I don't think any Koenig is safe right now.
The first LT. The first Koenig is LT Koenig.
Fitz the one.
Is it gonna be Patton Oswalt again? Are we gonna get like a third, fourth Patton Oswalt?
He was not a good man.
Oh.
Always telling Fitz he was stupid and worthless.
What a
I think that's why
dick.
Fitz became so clever.
yeah, hell yeah.
I'd like to have a few words with that man.
Me too.
You and me both.
We've been making a lot of toast lately. Maybe we should try something else.
Guys, I think you need to get in here.
Daisy, you just interrupted a possible first Philinda kiss. Come on, I love you, but what the hell? What the hell? Oh. Oh, damn.
are you? Why are you here?
Drop your weapon.
Ho ho! Shield stormtroopers have got to go. Hey.
Coulson, what are you doing here? My brother.
There's a sister
It's
Koenig!
an LT Koenig.
This is, a female Koenig! A sister Koenig!
You iced me.
This
I'm
is the
aboard
first
war
Koenig.
Stop being a whiny little bitch.
I don't want anything to do with your Agents of Doom.
Agents of Doom. That would make for a great show as well. That would make for a great show.
Oh God!
Oof.
What was that for?
You let your guard down. Didn't I teach you anything?
We were having a moment.
It was nice. Growing back now. It's time to work.
Okay, can I go
I like
home?
her already. I really like her
Sorry,
already.
Thurston, we can't let you leave.
At least we know the Darkhold's safe. Right, LT?
Oh, tell me.
Bad news. I
Oh,
gave it to Billy.
oh, for
What?
fuck's sake.
It was Operation Hot Potato.
Oh, I was about to say they're just doing it hot potato
Billy
style.
was the last
Yeah,
to have it.
that's where the Darkhold is. Is it on a pedestal? Please, it would be so cool if it was on a pedestal. There we go. There we go. Kick some ass, Ada. Snap necks. Oh. Oh, damn.
Ada, release him.
Oh, she literally punched a hole through the guy. Damn. He likes what he sees. Oh, baby Fitz. Baby Fitz. Baby Fitz. And Mama Fitz, baby Fitz and Mama Fitz.
Yes, they betrayed you. And after everything you've been through, no one would blame you if you put up your own firewall. Instead, you became the most open, loyal, caring person I've ever met.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
It's why I fell in love with you. Who you really are, that's not programming.
Jim.
No. Other shows give us crumbs. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gives us the entire freaking pie.
You'll never learn what your father said.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I'm out of that.
Yeah, his father is old
Tell me what's
business.
going
No
on.
one could care about that old
Something
spec
Jan said.
anymore. Yeah.
We're more than our programming.
Yeah.
There's something else.
All right, look.
Broken. The brain that Ada built. The brain that Ada was building. Yeah.
It has a brain.
Yeah, she built a brain using Darkhold knowledge.
Radcliffe mapped another brain.
I saw it. I watched him do it.
You can't be serious.
It was May.
They can tell it was May? Oh yeah, no, because he used it when she was dying. He mapped her brain. He actually had a scan, yeah. Kiss the real Melinda Phil. She's an LMD. Oh, I can't help it either way. Oh.
We've got company.
You know what? It feels good either way. It feels satisfactory either way.
Give it to me.
Yeah, it feels
How do you
good.
figure you're the
Oh,
target?
her programming. She needs to take it to Radcliffe. Oh no. You can't kiss and shoot. You can't kiss and shoot. That's illegal.
Now lower your damn weapon and give me the Darkhold.
I can't.
Oh, she can't. It's in her programming, her mission.
Because it's not in your programming.
No,
What
it's
are you talking about?
You're not May.
it's her mission
Why
to
would
deliver
you
it.
say that?
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh. Oh, god damn it. Oh, no. Oh, LT. Yes, LT coming in. There we go. Oh, yeah.
Please.
Sorry.
And he's...
You weren't built to last.
Oh, and he's abandoning her. Damn. Okay, now I just feel sorry for her. Now I just feel sorry for her.
Deadliest.
Sam and Billy were part of the original LMD program.
Oh.
So you all are technicians.
No, they're brothers.
You thought they were robots?
Yeah, they're brothers. They're...
Thank you for your service.
Anytime, Coulson.
I would love to see LT again. I would love to see LT Koenig again.
I believe it is responsible for all of the alien problems on this planet.
Huh.
A man.
A man.
He's always
Coulson!
there.
Oh, Coulson.
In the
He's
shadows.
after Coulson.
He is dead. Yet he is everywhere.
He's after Coulson. Okay. Needless to say, I say this every time. I say this after almost every Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode, but needless to say, there is plenty I want to talk about. There is plenty I want to discuss with all of you lovely people watching from wherever you are. So yeah, another great episode, another fun episode. This time we saw the return of a return and expansion, the return of the Koenigs and the even further expansion of the Koenigs. The first expansion being the reveal that there was actually more than one Agent Koenig in the world, as well as within S.H.I.E.L.D. So that was fun. But this time we saw Sam and Billy. So yeah, I think it's basically just Patton Oswalt. And again, and now even now, fast forward years from his appearances in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then now he is also playing MODOK in Marvel's MODOK, which is really cool. And I think there's a whole bunch of other kind of actors I recognize in that cast. I've been kind of under consideration as to whether or not I should react to MODOK, but I haven't even seen the trailer for. I don't know. It's like an animated kind of comedy show, so I know it's probably going to be along those kind of lines of it may be dramatic at times, but don't take it too seriously. It's meant to be funnier and lighter than most of Marvel's TV stuff. So I've been kind of, I think, if you guys have checked it out and you have any kind of, spoiler-free thoughts, then absolutely feel free to let me know what you think of it. And I think, I'm pretty sure it's like premiered by now, and through Star as well. It is available on Disney Plus, so that's fun. But he went from playing Koenig to MODOK on Marvel's MODOK, so that was cool. But Koenig, see, it's a good thing they had one of them without the blazer and the other one with the actual blazer on, because otherwise we literally would never be able to tell which one was which. So I think Billy was kidnapped. I think the one without the blazer was kidnapped. That was Billy, and then Sam was the one running. So I mean, full disclaimer, there will be times, because of my own rambling and because my own kind of memory can get jumbled up, like I will. Chances are I am likely to actually to still get the names jumbled up at times throughout this review. So just please bear with me and correct me in your own heads as necessary. I know, you will likely know which one I'm talking about within the context, so just, don't take it too seriously, but, the Koenigs, so the Koenigs were the ones that Coulson entrusted. Coulson did mention, he entrusted, like, a guy who is someone he knew that could actually make things disappear, and apparently that was the Koenigs. And I think you would, like, I mean, at least me, I thought he meant in like a really mysterious way, or like maybe just blowing it up and destroying it, or just doing it in like a really mystical kind of way. But no, he literally just meant the Koenigs playing hot potato with the Darkhold and actually passing it around from Koenig to Koenig to Koenig, and then finally hiding it behind a bunch of different security doors inside the library. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, so they were the ones tasked with disappearing the Darkhold, and we meet the others. We meet meet Thurston Koenig, who is a stand-up comedian. And he is basically Patton Oswalt with like a mohawk, grays and all, which, hey, totally cool, totally respectable. But he is a stand-up comedian. I think based on what LT said, he is the one that just couldn't make it. Like LT was the first one in, and then the other Koenigs followed in after her. So I think Thurston, because I think she mentions something about him not being able to make the cut or something. So I think Thurston might be the one who either couldn't cut it or he didn't really want to be in that life. So then he just kind of became a stand-up comedian and did his own kind of thing. So that was fun. But then we meet LT Koenig. There is a sister Koenig. There is a sister Koenig who is undeniably badass and capable, and she actively being. I think she must have been the older one. She must be the older Koenig, and being the older Koenig, she did relentlessly kind of bully her brothers, and so there was a lot of crying and stuff. But yeah, LT Koenig was, and she was. I love her so. I love her so much more knowing she was the first one. She was the first one, probably in like her family as a whole, maybe, because I don't know if they mentioned like it being like through their kind of lineage or heritage or whatever. But either way, she was the first one. She, like, out of the rest of out of the brothers, she was actually the first. She was the first Koenig to go into S.H.I.E.L.D. and become the agent that she is, and then her brothers following after her, and then even then, I think even then, like I think she herself has her own skill set, and she's highly respectable, and she's capable, and she's solved a lot of missions. But I think Shirley, because of the fact that her brothers are the way that they are, because of that, like the Koenigs in that sense, like the brothers Koenig are much more widely known throughout S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, oh, Sam and Billy and the late Eric and everything, like those brothers. And I think there's only three of them. I mean, well, no, four of them. There's four of them. Well, there's three of them now. There's Thurston, Sam, and Billy. But then there used to be Eric too. So I think having the brothers in there, I think even once Thurston left, like having the brothers there made them kind of more widely known, and like they were the ones who you could easily use as duplicates and everything. So, but then LT still made her mark. She still rose through the ranks, and she still, I don't know what level she is, but she still rose through the ranks, and she still made her mark, and she can still kick ass, as we've seen. So I love LT that much more for being who she is, and I sincerely hope we see more of her. I sincerely hope. I mean, so something tells me we might not. Maybe at least not past this season. Like she might make a return in this season, but past that she might not do much. But, I mean, even the actual brothers, like we haven't seen them since I think the last memory I have is back in season 2. With the Theta Protocol, and even them being on the plane when Ward came to pick up Daisy and to promise to take her to her dad and everything. So that's the last memory I have. But I think season 3, I don't know if there was a. I'm not entirely sure if there was any actual involvement from them in season 3. So we genuinely haven't seen the Koenigs for a while either way. So. And yeah, and the Koenigs were also a member of part of the original. I think at least the brothers were. At least the brothers were actually part of the original LMD. The original LMD project. And I think honestly, I think on the one hand, like them being involved makes sense, but there being an original LMD project kind of surprises me because I think I'm not I'm not fully aware or fully memorable on there being another Shield sanctioned LMD project. I think back to Tony's line from the first Avengers, him trying to repel Coulson, saying, "Oh, you've reached the lifelong ego of Tony Stark." But then even then, that was from him. That was just a funny kind of quip and just typical Stark humor. I think I doubt that. I personally doubt that was anything meant to be taken seriously. But then I don't know if Coulson maybe remembered that line and was like, "Hey, we could actually do with some LMDs. We could actually make with some actual decoys, and it could actually be useful for future Shield missions." So I don't know how that goes, but either way, there was an original LMD project, and the Koenigs are part of it. And again, the brothers, at least the brothers being part of that project in terms of planning and maybe even development actually makes sense to me. And then even Agent, I think Davis, his name is, even him just assuming, oh, that makes so much sense. So you guys are robots or LMDs, and it's no, we are fully 100% human, just biological brothers. And I think I never would have believed that they were LMDs. I think they have actually been passed off so successfully as brothers. I feel like LMD would just kind of be a cop out. It's so much more authentic and fun to kind of know that they are brothers who actively use their likeness to play pranks and to use it to their advantage as shield agents than it is to just imagine, oh, there was one Koenig and then Shield just decided to duplicate the crap out of him and then do that kind of stuff. So them being brothers feels a lot more authentic and feels a lot more kind of, it feels a lot better than just kind of, copying everything out to it being, oh, no, it's an LMD. So yeah, but then again, them being able to pass as each other so well too, being able to pass as individual Koenigs, but also being able to almost pass as other Koenigs too. I think that could have maybe inspired an LMD program of some kind. So that's cool. That is still some cool info. And what is arguably the most kind of circled and noteworthy kind of paragraph of sorts I have in my kind of sheet of notes. I honestly don't know how I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going to approach this like a person of sanity. I don't think I'm going to come out of this looking sane or looking normal. But you know what? Fuck normal. Normal is overrated. I think it was Sam meeting Daisy as Quake. Now I think his reaction to her is just all sorts of awesomeness, all sorts of awesome. And even him greeting her from the actual docking of the Quinjet, being like, "Oh, Agent May, Agent Coulson, Agent Quake." He's so excited to use that name. He's so excited to actually recognize her as that, and he even actually recognizes her in such a positive and welcoming light, being like, "Oh, you're a superhero though. It's so cool. It's so awesome." What got me, even though this doesn't surprise me, this does not surprise me in the least because I know. I know to an extent. But he mentioned there's Quake fanfic. Or at least in the MCU, there is Quake fanfic. There is undeniably so much Quake fanfiction in the real world, in our world. But even in the MCU, there exists fanfic. And honestly, prepare for a ramble, right? Prepare for some heartfelt fangirl rambling. That raises so many questions for me. Does Archive of Our Own exist? Does fanfiction.net exist? Does I don't want to say almighty, but does the kind of one that everyone knows, does Tumblr exist? Are these all? Because I think Twitter has been mentioned in the MCU. So social media kind of has to exist, right? I think you wouldn't really have to struggle with any kind of copyright or trademark laws with those. You'd kind of have to pass it off as a world with Facebook and Twitter and all these other things and everything. The internet as a whole exists. So. And yeah, as soon as he mentioned that there's Quake fanfic, my heart just jumped and skipped a beat. Oh my god, there's Quake fanfic in the MCU. Not only are there fans of Quake, but there are people who then go on to write fanfic and stuff. Fanfic, honestly, some of the best stuff, and I think people can have different opinions, but again, fanfic is some of the finest writing you can find out there, and I think, pretty much most, if not all of it, is free. It's free, and writers put incredible amounts of effort into their fanfics. Like, some of it can be super duper kind of extensive and planned out, and regardless of anything, it's all going to be like well written to some extent. But even the ones that are like that are as long as an actual full length book are as great, and then even the one shots are great, and imagines are great. I consume. I consume fanfic, maybe just a little more than I would actually, proudly admit. But hey, we've all got our hobbies. Whether that's reading or writing or even drawing. He even mentioned drawings, but I mean, he mentioned the Quake fanfic, right? He mentioned the Quake fanfic, and then I was like, okay, wow, that's me out the window. Then he mentioned, then straight after he recommended that she read it, he's like, actually, you know what? Just back it up. Maybe you shouldn't read it. There's some steamier ones on there with drawings. There's Quake smut. There is Quake smut. I don't know. I think I don't know how to process that. I mean, smut is basically just comes under Rule 34 of the internet. If it exists, there will be sexual content surrounding it, and smut. I mean, some smuts can be beyond steamy, and some of them can be pretty kind of, like ranging from kind of like physically romantic to actual mature levels and stuff. But smut is smut. Like whatever kind of fanfic you write, it's all great. It's all great, whether it's smut or fluff or anything else you want. Like seriously, some smuts can be fully kind of NSFW to the barest of extents, and yeah, needless to say, I mean, I think it was back when I was watching season 2, I believe. I think it was back when I was watching season 2, when I was about halfway through season 2, I did mention that I actually did kind of catch wind of like a couple of AOS kind of fanfics here and there. Nothing majorly spoiled. Like it was those were one shots. Those were mostly one shots and a few imagines here and there. But nothing spoilery. But then people, upon hearing that, did kind of kind of kindly kind of recommend that. Okay, I mean, steer away from fanfics now, because again, you never know. Especially especially being in season 2, I was so early into the show that there was so much left for me to explore. So I did rightfully kind of step back, and it kills me because I think I genuinely don't know what I can and can't read because of spoilers. But then I want Fitzsimmons one shots, I want some Daisy and Rita one shots, I want all the one shots. I live for one shots and full on chapter by chapter, pieces and stuff. I live for fanfic. I love my fanfic. And I think it's especially because fanfic for me, it means even more because I think I started off reading actual books as a kid, but then I think it was like a little bit more into my teens. I kind of fell out of it for various different reasons, and then fanfic has genuinely helped me get back into reading. When the idea of actually having to sit down and read a whole book from start to finish, even with breaks in between, like with that, like when I somewhat fell off the wagon, like the idea of actually reading a book like that and having to read that extensively kind of felt a bit discouraging. So fanfic, genuinely, like fanfic, those short kind of paragraph long or page long kind of little snippets and stuff, like fanfic genuinely helped me get back into reading and actually reignited my passion for reading and for writing too. I'm not going to get into that. I refuse to get into that, at least right now. Maybe someday in the near future, if I get drunk enough, I'll talk about my writing exploits. But no, fanfic is genuinely amazing. Fanfic is some of the best kind of creative works out there, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for fanfic writers. Like, regardless of if you write big or small, whatever floats your boat, that's the beauty of writing fanfic, especially as well as writing in general. So fanfic writers, you have my support. You have my undying support. So, and especially if you write AOS fanfics too, even long after the show's ended, if you write AOS fanfics, once I finish this show, I'm going to be all up in it. And of course the ones I've missed out on because I'm still catching up on this. So, yeah, And then he mentioned drawings too. Drawing, I think fan art, that is a well-known thing. Fan art is an undeniably kind of popular thing. Fan art, and I mean, he kind of paired the drawings in with the steamier stuff. So I'm wondering, like, have people really gone that far to draw like that kind, like Quake in that kind of? I mean, if they do, then I guess more power to you. I mean, artwork is artwork. Artwork is artwork as long as it's not really kind of really creepy and really kind of dangerous looking, like like some artworks and like out there can kind of signify some kind of danger if you catch my drift. But still, hey, artwork is artwork. If drawing NSFW stuff helps you express that passion, then I'd say go for it. As long as you're literally not doing anything illegal, then yeah, that it's fine. And again, the same goes for writing too. This absolutely the same goes for writing too. As long as you're not teetering on the edge of anything illegal or unethical or immoral, then then more power to you. But he mentioned there were drawings, and I mean, honestly, like, again, I'm still trying to process the fact that Quake fan fiction exists, and then there was also Quake smut out there. That is, again, I just, as thirsty as I've been for Daisy in the past, the idea of there being equally thirsty Quake fans in the show is something. I don't know if I should relate to it, but I'm just like contemplating it. Let's just put it that way. I am contemplating it. I am just still contemplating. Well, not contemplating. I'm processing. I'm still processing. I'm processing it. And then the cherry on top. The cherry on top. They're shipping Quake with Black Widow. They're shipping Quake with Black Widow. They're shipping Daisy Johnson with Natasha Romanoff. They are shipping. They are hopefully unashamedly, because that is a hell of a pairing. That is a pairing and a half. Daisy Johnson and Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow and Quake, or Quack. I mean, we can do better than Quack. I'm sure we can do better than Quack. Like Blake maybe, or like Blake, or I don't know, Blake. I don't know. Again, maybe if you guys have a better shipper name, I'm sure people do that even in real life. Even in our world at least, like people still ship like various kind of TV characters with the movie characters and everything. This show honestly takes me out and pulls me back in the best of possible ways. It does things to me that I can't even explain. It does things to me. But yeah, there's people ship Daisy Johnson in the corner. People ship Quake and Black Widow. People like the taste, the flavor, just the yeah. This is, by the way, this is what you can expect when you come to my videos. This is one of the things you can expect. Just unending, this kind of vibe, this kind of energy and vibe and passion for these kinds of stories and character contents and everything. So. I have read endless amounts. I think especially more in recent times, I've read endless amounts of like MCU fanfic overall. There's a bunch of ships I'm kind of like following and tagged on. Like there's Black Widow and Wanda. A lot of people ship Black Widow and Black Widow and Scarlet Witch. A lot of people ship them. Black Widow and Captain Marvel is another one. Wanda and Captain Marvel, and then there's like like interwoven between these kind of character ships is a lot of like reader ships as well. So that's like people writers love allowing the reader themselves to feel infused in the most literal of ways. So fanfic writers are just filling in the gaps. They're just filling in the gaps. They're absolutely just filling in the gaps and providing the fans with what the show doesn't have the interest or the budget or the kind of required approval to make canon and everything. But hey, we make our own canon. That's what we do. Again, not to say that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has bad canon. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has some fucking great canon, but sometimes we need to fill in the gaps. Sometimes we want a Daisy Johnson and Rita one-shot. Sometimes we want a Gemma Simmons and Rita one-shot. Sometimes we want a Fitz and Rita one-shot. Like, we want the one-shots and the imagines and the actual multi-chapter entries and everything. We want it all. We want it all. So, but yeah, that whole section, just Quake fanfic. Huh. Quake smut. Whoa, damn. Okay, Quake and Black Widow. I'm out. I'm deceased. I have left this mortal plane, and my soul has ascended into the heavens of fanfic. So, yeah. Oh god, this show. Just when I think this show could not give me any more sustenance or life, it proves me wrong and comes flying back in. So yeah, and yeah, as I say this, I am well aware that this likely was more like just like a funny little quick for the writers to make. It didn't really occupy as much of the episode as I'm kind of making it out to be. Like more of this section of the review is just me, just endlessly kind of promoting fanfic more than they did, and I think I'm aware that likelihood is even watching this live, many fans that didn't really take it too seriously. But hey, it just depends on how aware of and how invested in fanfic you are. Some people are some people not so much. But as long as we can all learn to respect each other and get along with each other, then that's what makes the world go round. That's just what makes the world go all nice and spherical as it should be. So fanfic for days, and I mean, and as well as that fanfic as well, like it's not all just kind of romance and smut and all that kind of stuff, but again, it literally fills in the gaps. So like it like actually kind of offers alternate routes for story and character and alternate kind of opportunities that really allow you to. Obviously not everyone envisions something the same way, but then that is the beauty of fanfic. Like for one twist that gets turned another way by the fans, like a dozen different fans could imagine it a dozen different ways. So you see all the different ways that story can unfold, and especially from the eyes of a fan who wants to explore more than one opportunity in all of its possible ways. So it's literally like just fans being Doctor Strange, looking into the future and creating their own future, creating all these different kind of 16 million kind of things. And given how long the internet and fan fiction has been going on, there are more than likely more than 14 million stories out there, if you are including everything like the one shots and the imagines, as well as the actual published kind of chapter by chapter entries. So yeah, fanfic, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fanfic is something I am dying to get into, but I have no idea where to look without spoiling myself, so I reduce myself to the movies, which is just as great, It's great. Fanfic, it's great. I love it. Being an avid shipper of BioQuake, I honestly like my kind of, on the one hand, I'm not surprised I didn't mention it here, because obviously again it's meant to be a funnier thing, not like an actual in-depth kind of clarification. Oh, there's fanfic and this and that, but then Black Widow is also like the more notable name, and then Quake has just come out, and then and I think that's also interesting too. Like with Quake, does that mean people actually headcanon her as like bi or something? Like, is that like because I do wonder, because already Daisy is already being like in human representation. She's already being like in human representation, especially for like the young kids out there. And she's already like especially like that especially that speech in the last episode with her actually reassuring people that Inhumans are normal people too. They're your friends, your family, your co-worker, colleagues, and all these other things. Like she's already fighting for inhuman activism, trying to actually get people to see Inhumans as real people too, and as actual valid beings as well. So, but then the show hasn't necessarily like shied away from having LGBT characters in it as well. I mean, I think they had. They had. I think the one clarified character they had was Joey Gutierrez. He was like an openly gay man, and he was on the team. And I think he mentioned having had like an ex before, and he even mentioned like when he was first introduced as Inhuman, he even mentioned having had to keep a secret so close to his heart before, and now he has to do it all over again. And then even in the Secret Warriors episode, we saw he was actually on a date with a guy, and then that was actually cut short, and then he had to actually go team up and everything. And that was actually the last time we saw him. So I think at least before cutting him out, or at least having him leave the team, like they at least gave us a glimpse of his kind of love life and everything. So I think he was like the only opening game man. But then I did actually read recently, and I think given that Lucy Lawless was a part of this, I'm not too surprised. But Victoria Hand was meant, well, at least in the comics and even in the show. I mean, in the show it was kind of far more subtly hinted at. But I think in the comics, especially, Victoria Hand is openly lesbian, and she actually is in a relationship with Lucy Lawless' character, whose name is Isabel Hartley. So I think they were there, and like I think in the comics they had a very kind of like open and visible and very, very kind of close relationship. So that was cool. But then again, in the TV show, it's much more subtly hinted. Like Victoria herself is never revealed to be to actually be a lesbian. Like she's never like revealed to be to they didn't necessarily put her in the closet, so to speak. Like she never seemed afraid of that. She never really seemed afraid, but I think people didn't really recognize. But people didn't really recognize her as much, which I think is kind of important to note too. Like like the character should be the character, and then by like through the extension of them also being together and them trusting each other, Victoria actually kind of trusts Hartley to be the only one to call her Vic in like more of a loving and passionate way and more of an affectionate way than compared to Garrett having called her Vic to try and belittle her thoughts or opinions, and especially him being Hydra, him being clairvoyant, he kind of wanted to keep that kind of tail out on her long enough for him to actually escape and do his own thing. So yeah, so Victoria Hand is the only, I think, to my knowledge, Victoria Hand is the only other kind of, Victoria Hand and Hartley are the only other kind of like LGBT characters the show has had. But they haven't really openly kind of stated that. So I think maybe it could have been because it was so far back then that they didn't really kind of know, or or maybe that they weren't able to do it as much, so then that they had to kind of maybe they had to rely on like hinting and stuff and hope the fans would pick it up, but then that just made the fans more annoyed, like, oh, we could have actually had someone who was openly and like unashamedly gay, and then also being in like a relationship with another SHIELD agent and having something there. But then even without that, like then like when I found that out, I was like, oh great, that was so cool, we could have had her. And then I remembered Ward killed her, and I was like, this makes me hate that motherfucker even more. Like obviously he did, like what he did wasn't like he didn't kill her discriminately. He killed her because she was SHIELD, she was the enemy. But then them killing her off in such a brutal way too, like it hits even more, knowing who she is and what she is and everything. So it kind of hurts that way. So yeah, and I think it just in general, like like Victoria Hand, I think is just again, like I think looking back at the story we had in season 2, Victoria Hand is undeniably someone who would have fit in so well with that kind of story too, like there being a SHIELD versus SHIELD. I think at least I hope that Victoria would have actually stuck with Coulson, knowing that he still kind of fights for the right things, even if he does kind of take the whole kind of spy agency stuff to the next level. So yeah, I think I would not be mad. I'd be all the more for it if they actually kind of canoned Daisy as bi, or maybe if they gave her a girlfriend, or if they wanted to go that route with her. I think the way Daisy has been, I genuinely do not think that I genuinely think she would be open to dating anyone. I think she would be open to dating anyone. Like she's had like one legitimate boyfriend so far, which was Lincoln. Again, great relationship, like really personally for me, enjoyable relationship. I love the dynamic they had, the history they had, the time they had, and obviously I think she spent like a good deal of the first kind of few episodes of the season kind of dealing with that kind of death and having that on her, and feeling like she had that death on her hands and on her shoulders, and feeling like she needed to atone, and she needed to atone. But if they gave her a girlfriend after this, I would, I would be all the more for it. Like her exploring more possibilities and actually exploring that character in that way too. Like, oh, she's inhuman, she's bi, she's kind of open to anyone, and open to all kinds of love. I mean, again, I'm not just saying this because I'm a bioquick, because again, that's never gonna happen. I love Fitzsimmons too much to kind of hope for Bioquake. And again, I'm more than happy to read Bioquake fanfic when that time comes around. I'm equally as happy to. And I think that's the thing too. Like Fitzsimmons and Daisy fit so well together. Like as a trio of characters, they work so well together. Their friendship works. Their character interactions work. Like they themselves fit together. Not necessarily as a throuple, but they still work together as people and as friends and as partners in the field and within SHIELD so much that, like Bioquake, as much as I love it, it's not something that needs to happen for me, and even if I do, then I'll just, I'll explore the fanfic. But then Fitzsimmons is just chef's kiss of in terms of TV romances and in terms of actual, comic book romances too. So Daisy, if you want to give her a girlfriend, I wouldn't complain. If you want to, kind of, open up her future to more possibilities, then I'm just a fan awaiting all the content that might come my way. So yeah, but I mean, like the idea that even in the MCU people are shipping Quake with Black Widow just made me think like, okay, so even there, people are headcanoning her as bi or like open to women in some way. So that is a really cool kind of possibility to think about, and especially like like for any kind of LGBT fans too, like like they would absolutely love to think about that possibility of like exploring that kind of romantic possibility and those kinds of relationships. So yeah, Black Widow and Quake for the win. Black Widow and Quake absolutely for the win. So yeah, bye Daisy, bye Daisy. And yeah, then we met the Superior. Anton Ivanov. So yeah, I think I've seen him again. Another one of those faces that I've seen in many different places here and there. I think there's been quite a few in this show so far, and I think that's what I love about the show too. It brings in so many familiar faces, and it kind of absolutely utilizes them to the best of their abilities. And I think the only other thing I think again like they've done it with a bunch of different people too. Bill Paxton, Carl McLachlan, Deacon Lackman, like a lot of these different faces throughout the seasons. Like I think Agents of Shield does so many different things so right, and it's hard to find flaws. But it's like as well as the writing character, it's also the casting. The casting itself is absolutely phenomenal. Like not just for the main cast, not just for the main group, but even side characters they have and side roles and recurring guest stars they have. It's so well casted. Like that dude again, he passes off intimidation and at times stoicism, but also just kind of hardlined antagonist kind of vibes so well. He passes off so well, and I recognized him most recently. He was I think in like it was like a couple of seasons back. He's dead now. But a couple of seasons back in The Walking Dead, he played Justin, like a former savior who was then kind of put into labor stuff for Rick's group, and he was a dick in that. He was pretty much like a kind of obsessed, not self obsessed, but like a self controlled kind of dick. Like he wasn't really kind of likable or cooperative or anything. So he was Justin in that, but now he's Anton Ivanov. He's the superior, and he is Russian. So there's that. But yeah, he hates Inhumans too. He doesn't. He has sympathy for them because he did say that he doesn't believe that they deserve. I think he mentioned he thinks that they don't deserve the pain or the labor that they go through. So I don't know if he's talking about the transformation or if he's talking about or if he's talking about the discrimination. Like if he doesn't believe that they should be treated the way that they are, or if he doesn't believe that they should go through any kind of pain to get where they are. But he also doesn't believe that they deserve the power they have. He doesn't believe that they've earned the power they have. And I think for him looking like the kind of Russian lumberjack that he is, and drinking vodka straight out of a tube and smelling the onion, I genuinely thought, right, I don't know why, not genuinely, but I thought it was definitely a possibility that whoever was a superior was just going to make them cry looking at the onion and be like, yeah, tell me where the Darkhold is or I'll make you cry even more. Because then that's just painful crying too. Like crying in general, tears can sting your eyes and it can feel emotionally and physically kind of hurtful. But then crying because of like onions, like your ears or your eyeballs, genuinely just kind of sting, and you just want to just wipe them out and wash them out. Like it feels like someone's actually taken onion juice and just sprayed it in your eyes or something. So that's arguably somewhat more kind of physically painful. But no, he smells onions after drinking vodka to enhance the experience. But he doesn't believe that they should have the power that they have, so that's why he wants to help the Watchdogs wipe out the Inhumans. And apparently the according to Radcliffe, the Darkhold has that. According to Radcliffe, the Darkhold has that kind of information. So I am very intrigued to see kind of where that leads them, where the Darkhold leads them in that sense. But then he also mentioned wanting to take out the Inhumans and then wanting to go even further and take out what brought them here in the first place. So then I was wondering for the longest time. I was wondering, is he gonna go to? Because then, if you think about it chronologically, then yeah, like the Kree were the ones. The Kree went from planet to planet experimenting on its inhabitants, and the Earth was established to be the only planet where the experiments worked, and they actually created successful warriors, and they created the Inhumans. So I was thinking, like, I mean, I know this guy's meant to be a superior and he's meant to be like some kind of powerful madman, but is he really going to take some kind of war, some kind of intergalactic war to the Inhumans? Is he really going to try to the Kree? Even is he really going to try to wage war against them? Because I think, even timeline-wise, I think at this point, Guardians definitely should have happened. So then, even then, like Ronan would be dead. But then there are other Kree out there, so I don't know if there are. I mean, Ronan. I mean, based on Captain Marvel, there was another guy that I mean, well, not. I was thinking, like, Ronan was him. I mean, Ronan could not possibly have been the only Kree of his kind, of his rank at least, because Ronan was Ronan the Accuser. So maybe there were other accusers, and maybe others of Ronan's rank that went under different titles or something. But I don't know. Either way, I was genuinely thinking, like, oh, is this guy really going to go into space and wage war on the Kree for having created Inhumans in the first place? But no, he's doing something that's a lot more grounded, a lot more down to earth. He even mentioned, like, the Chitauri, the Kree, the Inhumans. So he didn't know about the Kree. And I think, again, I mean, with the Chitauri having been a public invasion, I'm not surprised that people know about them. But the Kree is arguably less public, because I think those experiments happened millions of years ago. So the chance of people actually knowing about them, to me, seems kind of, because as of thus far, like since then, there has not been. Well, there has. I was gonna say there hasn't been an actual public kind of public kind of visitation from the Kree as of yet. But then we did back in season 2, back when they were exploring the whole Kree thing. That dude who explained what the experiments were, like that guy in the latest episode. But then no one knew he was Kree. No one really knew that he was Kree. No one knew what he was. Only Shield later found out he was a Kree. So the Kree, I think, I can't think of any evidence that would actually suggest that the public knows what the Kree is as of yet. But then I think this guy being this guy, he might just have access to government files, or he might have access to other kind of intel that would actually tell him, oh, the Kree is this, the Kree helped create the Inhumans billions of years ago, and they're the reason the Inhumans exist. So either way, he knows about them. But then he mentioned the Chitauri, and then he mentioned the Kree, and then he mentioned the Inhumans, and then so then to him, the source. So when he said what brings them here, he didn't really mean the origin. He wasn't being as specific as to mean the origins, but he meant, like, what brings these things into light, what brings these things, up to the surface, what makes these things more present in the present day. And it turns out that man is Phil Coulson. That is Phil Coulson he's referring to. So yeah, and he even had pictures. He had I think one of the pictures he had was was Coulson standing on the edge of the crater created by Thor's hammer when it first came to Earth in the first Thor movie. And I think pretty sure that started off with a one shot, and then it was actually shown properly in the movies. In the movies, as Jane and Co drive away with Thor, you see the hammer collapsing falling out of the sky in the distance, and it crashes. But I think before that there was a one shot that showed Coulson outside the crater, calling Fury and saying, oh, they found it, and then the camera cuts to kind of side swipe of Thor's hammer. So yeah, so he was there, and then there were like a bunch of other pictures of him being in other places too, and like him being present. Like he said, like, this man is present whenever strange things happen. Whenever strange things happen, he's there, ready to report, ready to do Shield's work and everything. And then he even showed the obituary. He even mentioned how this man died, but even in spite of that, he is still everywhere. Like, he even showed Coulson being in like an obituary announcing to the world Phil Coulson is dead and everything. And then even despite that, even after his supposed death day, he's still kind of popping up in places in places at times after his death takes place. So then to Anton, Coulson is like this kind of almost like a catalyst for all these kind of strange happenings to take place and everything. And I think with the Inhuman thing, I think that would kind of make sense, because I think with the Inhuman thing, it was literally Coulson's kind of continued investigation into the alien writing. I think, which to be fair, you couldn't really kind of blame him for, because I think it was literally like a mental impulse inside him to keep drawing at a specific time, for him to actually keep drawing those writings and to put them together and stuff like that. And then that whole episode where he actually tracked down other people who were recipients of the previous project at ET that also had the alien thing inside them, and there was one guy going around killing people who had it in them. So that was the whole thing. So I think that might be the only instance I can imagine where it happened. But I think even then, that investigation led into all sorts of other things too, like his kind of need to find out what this all meant and what it all led into the whole Inhumans and all this different stuff that happens. So I think that might be the only other thing I can actually imagine can be kind of tied to him. But then even then, again, mental impulse pretty much uncontrollable, and he had to find out what it all meant because he had to be doing it for a reason, and then he discovers even more. And again, just goes to show how influential and how impactful and how well connected this whole show is as like season by season, story by story. Like, you know, one thing leads to another and to another and to another and to another, and it just goes on like a cycle of action-packed emotional awesomeness and stuff. And it's one of the many reasons I love this show so much. One of the many reasons I just cherish this show with all my heart and soul. So I cannot wait to see exactly how his kind of tracking down of Coulson goes. I mean, more than that, he directly told Radcliffe. He directly told Radcliffe that Coulson was the man he was looking for, and Coulson has had many fruitful face-to-face meetings with Coulson, so he knows exactly what to do and where to take him and where to get him to. I think is the thing. Well, I mean, he knows where the he knows of the shield base. I don't know if he actually knows exactly where the shield base is, because I think he likely would have been actually. Well, I don't know. Would he have been? I don't know. I think I can't remember them actually bagging him or blindfolding him. I can't remember. I think it's kind of vague in my head now. But I think because it was him, they likely would have needed to, because like he's not like an official shield agent. He's not of any kind of security clearance, so then like they likely would need to bag him up and then actually unmask him when he's finally inside, so he wouldn't know where to go or anything. And it's not really on the maps either. It's not really on any shield maps. And there's a whole even then, like it's like a whole underground thing too, so it'll make it even harder to find. So yeah, but either way, Radcliffe does kind of like agree to, you know, lead Anton and the Watchdogs to Coulson, and then Anton can do what he feels needs to be done. I mean, he said he wants to go after him, and I mean, whether or not he wants to kill him again, I don't know, but then he did say he wants to actually go after Coulson, go after the cause of all of this, go after the cause of all these things being brought to light, being brought to the present day, being brought back into existence again. So I guess we can only see exactly what plans he has for him, but given he is the superior and given that he enjoys pain and vodka, I can only imagine that it's not the best of things. It's not the best or brightest of things. So yeah, that should be fun. And then we had some stuff with Radcliffe's LMD. And it got emotional. And I don't know if I was ready for that. I don't know if I was ready for that. It got emotional, and I really don't think I was ready for that. Which, let's be honest, is the case with the majority of the emotional stuff in the show. I don't know if I'm ready for it at all, but I deal with it. But I mean, this one, I mean, Radcliffe, I think you know what, I'm going to choose to believe it's true. I'm going to choose to believe that it might just be true. Well, I don't know, actually. I really don't know. Because I want to believe it's true, but then it's like, you know, I also want to say he wouldn't lie, but then Ada lied about having killed Nathanson. She said that, you know, Nathanson was about to switch her off, and she got defensive and everything, but then we know that's not true, so Ada lied, so then if she was capable of lying, then the other LMDs have to be capable of lying too, so yeah, so then this one, so it'd be a bit, the Radcliffe LMD spoke about having known, not necessarily known, but having knew of Fitz's dad, about having known of Fitz's father, and that they were apparently classmates, and they even rode the same train to work, and then even when Leopold was first born, he showed him a photo and told him about his new son Leopold and everything. So yeah, and I mean, would be a lot more emotional, or maybe even heartwarming, if it wasn't revealed afterwards that his dad was an abusive scumbag and everything. So that completely alleviates any kind of like emotional kind of, you know, negative. It can completely alleviates any kind of emotional kind of sadness or anything you might have, because I think Fitz never loved his dad, and his mother certainly never loved his dad. His dad, again, he was an abusive asshole, and he constantly belittled and just kind of tried to, you know, punch down on Fitz and kind of, you know, make him feel like he was nothing or that he was worthless. And then I think it was when Fitz turned 10 that he actually walked out on him and his mother. So, you know, I mean, Fitz has nothing but nice things to say about his mother. He even that scene of Fitz looking at that picture of, because I don't even know if that's if that's like faked or if it's real. Like I don't know if it's actually like a picture of it, because if it's a picture of actual baby Ian DeCastica with his actual mother, like a real life picture of him and his mum, I swear I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna break down in tears and sorrow and emotion and feels, and I'm never gonna recover. Like if they use an actual photo of Fitz and his mother, of Ian and his mother, to, because then the emotional authenticity behind that, just. Truth be told, though, I mean, if that's what his dad was like even before the abandonment, if that's what his dad was like even before the abandonment, then maybe leaving was the best thing he did. Like, you know, like leaving Fitz and his mother to their own affection. Like, you know, like again, his mother. I don't know his mother's name, but Fitz's mother is clearly like a hugely successful single mother. Like, you know, she raised a hell of a kid. She raised a hell of a kid. He went so far. And he became an incredible scientist, an incredible person overall. So full of even Gemma pointed that out too. Like he became like like this loop of betrayals he's actually faced too. Like, you know, first his father, then Ward, like someone who kind of was being passed off as like an older brother type of figure to him, and now Radcliffe too, like a fellow scientist who appreciated him, who appreciated him, and it's like a loop of all these different kind of older familial figures who just keep on betraying him and keep on abandoning him and leaving him and just kind of keep on showing their true colors in the end and stuff. And he just feels like, you know, and you know, I think despite all of these betrayals and twists and turns in his life that have led to nothing but anguish, he still turned out to be the most loving and caring and compassionate and intelligent man she has ever known. And even on the team, even though he's become someone so loving and wholesome and caring and friendly and intelligent. He always comes in some way to save the day. He's helped. He's contributed to the team in a whole myriad of ways, and he's, you know, like he's shown his own love for Simmons. He's jumped through a hole in space. He's kept dinner reservations for months on end. He's, you know, done stuff. He's been willing to jump off a plane for her, but then Ward has to come in and steal his thunder. You know, Leopold Fitz is one of the greatest men in TV to ever exist, and none of that is due to his dad. That is all his mother. His mother, you know, worked her ass off trying to raise him to be the best man he could be. And I hope she's still alive so that one of the team can tell her she succeeded. She not only succeeded, she transcended success. She did her job and she did it well. She raised him. She raised him well. Actually, you know, and even I remember it was back in season 1. I think like him talking to Donnie. He actually mentioned how there was like a point where his mother, his mother. I think maybe his mother like tried to help him with his homework, but I mean he was, you know, progressing so far through the field of science and tech that his mother never really understood any of what he was talking about. But, you know, like seeing him being so passionate and then seeing him actually doing well and seeing him being so intellectual and actually going far in this kind of field, like, made her nothing but proud of him. So she is a hell of a mother. She's a hell of a mother. I really hope one day we can meet her. We've met so many kind of past faces and personal faces in all these characters' lives. I'm hoping one day we can see Mama Fitz in the show. I'm hoping we can see Mrs. Fitz in the show, and actually and maybe even like a reunion between her and her son. Maybe in a reunion so that she can really properly kind of gauge just how far her little boy has come from that little kind of from that, you know, from I think Perthshire, wasn't it? I know he's referenced wanting to actually spend the future in Perthshire, or at least wanting to see a sunset in Perthshire, or like wanting to live in Perthshire in the future. But I don't know if that's because it's where he's actually from, or I mean, it must be. If it's like his home, then his home would mean a lot to him. Perthshire, growing up there with his mother would mean a lot. So I mean, you know, being like a little boy in Perthshire to now being like, you know, one of the most highly valued agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the world. I really hope we can get that reunion one day. I'm really hoping we can get that reunion. It's just seeing how, just seeing how things fly between them, and even her meeting Simmons too. I would, oh God, Mama Fitz meeting Simmons too, meeting her future potential daughter-in-law, and just, you know, meeting the woman who makes her boy so happy, and Simmons and Mama Fitz just kicking it off instantaneously too, like. These are all things I want, and despite how much I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gives me things I want, I'm still anxious to kind of think about, is this something that S.H.I.E.L.D. would do? Is it something that S.H.I.E.L.D. would do? Is it something that S.H.I.E.L.D. would actually give me? You know, it loves giving me a mixture of good and more negative emotions, but is like this kind of happy reunion moment something that S.H.I.E.L.D. would really give me? Is it something that they would really bestow upon me like that? I don't know, but either way, Fitz is a hell of a man. He's not one. And I think it also brings me back to May's line in season 2 when they're on like the it's just the episode where the original team comes back together for the first time and they have to infiltrate Dr. List's Hydra base. And I think May's kind of May's line about like, you know, because like Ward tries to justify his kind of psychopathy to all the abuse he went through and stuff, and then May's like, you know, we all have our traumas, we all have our kind of bad memories and our abuses and our individual traumas, but it didn't turn any of us into psychopaths. And I think this right here, you know, at least this point in the story shows that, you know, Fitz has gone through so much crap. Like Fitz has gone through like abuse as a child, and he's gone through being betrayed by all these different kind of men throughout his life, and then his mother was the one person who stuck by him, and then once he joined S.H.I.E.L.D., he was with Simmons too. Simmons stuck by him too and saw his value, and, you know, I think no one else, to my knowledge, like, no one else has really, I mean, no one else has really belittled him in the same way, but I think that also hurts too, like, looking back into season 1 too, like, all these memories, all these little snippets, all these little scenes are still vivid in my head, because like, I think about them so much, and I think about them a lot. But it's like there's another scene in season 1 too where Fitz and Ward go on their own mission, and then like Fitz kind of, you know, like Fitz has that kind of air of jealousy towards Ward because he's like the hunk and he's the kind of the big brave kind of like kind of, you know, like he's a big hero. So he's essentially like the big like the Boy Scout hero trope of the team. So he kind of has like an air of jealousy towards him. And then there's that line where he's like, you know, I am every bit the agent that you are, Agent Ward. And he's like, you know, like just feeling insecure because he's not big and strong and handsome like Ward, but he is Leopold Fitz. He is 10 times sexier than Ward could ever, like facial hair or not. He is with Ward's facial hair or not. You know, he is 10 times hotter than you know, Ward could ever dream of being. So, you know, but yeah, hearing that kind of history for him too was pretty hard as well. Like, and like him letting it get to him too, like him actually kind of being told that, you know, he's kind of faced like a loop of betrayals and a loop of, you know, like older male figures in his life just constantly betraying him and, you know, making him feel smaller. And I mean, with the exception of Radcliffe, because again, Radcliffe actually saw and appreciated Fitz's intellect for what it was and wanted him to help build Ada. But then for Radcliffe, it was like for Radcliffe, like he appreciated it because of what it could do for him. He wanted to build Ada, he wanted to do all this stuff, and then he discovered the Darkhold, and then all this stuff kind of went haywire. And then he realized that, you know, Fitz actually helped him in a way that could actually benefit him, but not in a way that could actually prove that Fitz was actually smart on his own. So yeah, but then, you know, Mac Attack and Fitz. Mac has respected Fitz until the end of the earth, and he will continue to respect Fitz for his intellect and his passion and his allegiance and his love for people. You know, Mac and Fitz is a hell of a duo. If they hadn't taken Trip away from us, Fitz and Trip could have been a hell of a duo. We've had Hunter and Fitz has been like a heaven sent gift. Hunter and Fitz has been a heaven sent gift from the writers. Like them two getting along so well. Like in to the length that they have, and you know, I think that definitely makes up for it. You know, he's faced betrayals from Ward and his father and from Radcliffe, but then Hunter and like Trip for as long as he did. So he still loved Fitz and he still respected him and he still saw him as like, you know, like a fellow agent and like a very close friend, you know. And then Mac and then Hunter as well, for as long as he did, he still respected him and loved him to that extent. And now Mac is the only other kind of close kind of, you know, brotherly figure he has. And then Coulson and May, undeniably the parents of the whole team, just the mom and dad trying to keep the Zephyr literally afloat among their kids' shenanigans. But yeah, Mac is the older brother that, you know, he loves and adores, and, you know, who will kind of fight to defend him. And, you know, again, if Mac ever catches his hands on Fitz's father, he will have words, and if things escalate, then he will, you know, use fists to get his point across too. But Fitz is amazing. Leopold Fitz is amazing, and he is cherished and loved by this fandom and by the characters, and no one should ever forget that. No one should ever forget how amazing Leo Fitz is. So yeah, we had the first Philinda kiss. I am conflicted because we had. I think it could possibly count as a Philinda kiss. It could possibly count as maybe half a Philinda kiss, because only one of them is actually real. But yeah, I think we had it almost in the car. Like LMD May referencing how they always seem to be raising like a shot for something. Like they always seem to be commemorating or like celebrating something with a shot. But maybe they could go one step further and do something else. And then there's the long lingering looks into each other's eyes and the yearning to be close and to be with one another. The whole two become one thing. Yes, Spice Girls, for anyone wondering. But then that kiss was interrupted by Daisy on the comms, so we didn't get that. But then straight afterwards, outside the library, when Koenig went to fetch the Darkhold, they kind of had a little bit of small talk going on with the books and with more stuff, and then they had it, and then they did it. Philinda kiss. Well, yeah, technically, yeah. Again, I don't know how I feel. I don't know what to feel about it. I don't know if I should be celebrating this, because again, it feels like. I don't even know what it feels like. Like it feels like I should recognize this as payoff, but then at the same time, it's like I don't know. I don't know if it's like a tease, like if it's because I think it was arguably softer. I think it didn't feel as passionate as it could have been, because like we've had like the Daisy and Lincoln kiss back in season 3. That was somewhat more passionate, because I think that was when Daisy was trying to console Lincoln and trying to prove to him that he wasn't dangerous and that he still had a purpose and that he was still important and he was still loved and he was still that. Like that was her trying to reconnect with him, and that was the payoff to like a very, very emotional sequence and like a lot of history behind them. And then oh my god, the Fitzsimmons first kiss. The Fitzsimmons first kiss. That blew me away. That took me away. That took me to, took me away and brought me back again. That was that was payoff. That was the pinnacle of payoff. The Fitzsimmons first kiss was the pinnacle of payoff. That was just seasons of yearning and lingering and longing looks and everything, and then again like another emotionally charged kind of argument and conversation between them that then leads into Fitz pulling her in by the waist and kissing her, and her wrapping her arms around his neck and then kissing him, and just that kind of payoff comes in after all this time. After all this time, they finally connect and finally do that. So that was fun. And then the Philinda one again. Like this one, it seemed a lot softer, but then because of that, it didn't really feel like it was legitimate. Like not legitimate. It didn't feel like payoff. It felt like more more softer and sweeter and calmer and more like definitely like different from the other kisses. But then I don't know if that's because they're going for a formula with these kisses, or if if they're actually going for like, oh, these characters need to acknowledge the history behind them and acknowledge the connection behind. They need to acknowledge the history behind them, and they also need to acknowledge the connection between them and actually acknowledge the passion and the love between them too, and then they need to kiss to fully physically, visually experience and profess that love for one another. But then with this one, it's a lot softer, it's a lot kind of calmer, and it's a lot kind of like not like the other kisses. I don't know if that's because they're trying something different, or it's because don't take this one too seriously. The real Philinda kiss is coming in the horizon. It's on the horizon. We have a way of doing the kisses on this show most of the time, so don't take this one too much to the heart. Like it's still nice to look at and it's still nice to celebrate, but then the real Philinda kiss between Melinda May and Phil Coulson is still coming, and there's a lot more to get through that will make that one feel even more like payoff. So I feel like that could be more the direction they're going in. But then it hurts even more with straight after this one they're interrupted by by Sam coming out with the Darkhold, and then straight back into the mission. But then that's when the whole May thing comes in. Like as soon as she has her hands on the Darkhold, she's then reminded of her true purpose. Her true purpose, like the LMD May's true purpose, was to retrieve the Darkhold and deliver it to Radcliffe. So then, as soon as she has her hands on the Darkhold, she then remembers what her real mission is, what she's meant to do, and then the mask slips. The mask slips. The colors are revealed, and then Coulson discovers that this isn't the real May. This is not the real May. Like the real May would, for one thing, the real May would not insist on taking the Darkhold away from Coulson. But then for another thing, the real May would never insist on going her own way with a gun held in Coulson's face. She would never threaten to kill Coulson or to shoot him. Maybe with an ISO. Maybe at a push with an ISO, but definitely not with a real gun. I mean, I can't tell if he was holding an ISO in that one or if it was a real gun or not. But either way, she would never kind of hold him at gunpoint and demand that he let her walk away with it. Like she would actually work with him to formulate a plan, or maybe even follow whatever orders he had for the Darkhold. So in this case, the real May would go with him and try and protect the Darkhold. But then, her being the LMD, she actually does that. And then even when Coulson accuses her of not being the real May, she still fights to be recognized as the real May. She still fights to kind of acknowledge that she has all of her memories, all of her feelings, all of her thoughts. She is designed to replicate May to the absolute fullest of extents that an android can. So yeah, that stuff makes it harder to think about. That stuff makes it harder to think about somewhat. And honestly, thinking about it, especially in this episode, I can't help but relate the LMD storyline so far in this season to any Doctor Who fans out there. Might already know what I'm talking about. You might just recognize this. The Gangers storyline in I think it was in season 6. I believe it was season 6 of Doctor Who, and those clones, having being somewhat being like DNA replicants and stuff, and still having the thoughts and still having the memories of their kind of human counterparts, and then also being sentient enough to actually come up with their own memory, to create their own memories, and to also come up with their own thoughts and stuff. And it kind of brought out that kind of dilemma, that kind of argument about is the Ganger still as real and as valuable, or just in general, just as real as their human counterparts. I think the way that story ended too, some of the human counterparts actually did genuinely die off, and then the Gangers had to kind of go in and replace them, and the Gangers had to take up their lives. And so it reminds me of that, and especially I'm not it's been a while since I've actually watched that story, since I've actually watched those episodes, but it definitely reminded me of that in with the argument of is the LMD actually as real as the human. And I think with May's thing, it kind of, I feel like, if it weren't for the mission, then she would be, because I think her primary directive is definitely to complete her mission of retrieving the Darkhold. Had she not been given that mission, had she not been given any mission, then she was told to replicate May, then I think just maybe, her authenticity could actually be somewhat more legitimate. Like her authenticity could actually be somewhat more verified and somewhat more valid. But then because she has that mission, it's that mission, until she comes into contact with the Darkhold, she is programmed to actually act and behave and think and talk and walk in pretty much the exact same ways that May would do all of those things. She's programmed to replicate May, to replicate the real Melinda May to the absolute best of her ability, until she comes into contact with the Darkhold. As soon as she has her hands on the Darkhold, she's then reminded of her mission. Her mission directive comes into her mind, and she's like, "Oh, I have to deliver this to Radcliffe. I have to complete that mission." And then after that, she's deemed obsolete by him. She's already completed her mission, so then he has no further use for her. So then he abandons her too. So yeah. But then that concept of the LMDs being real too, be like if they're as real as their counterparts, because I think with AI in general, it's always a question is this AI real? Is it should it be counted as an actual valid living being? Can it even be counted as living? Because then the way you define living comes into question. Because even the way Mac defines it, he said that Radcliffe technically wasn't even a living being, because he was a bunch of ones and zeros and not actually flesh and blood. And then I need to go back and rewatch that scene, because I didn't catch all of what Radcliffe actually mentioned, but then he actually mentioned to technically something about souls being proof of life, and then the other stuff just being vessels, flesh and blood being vessels, and even his kind of wiring and plating and stuff being vessels. I think I need to go back and watch that scene again to actually count exactly what he said, but he did kind of make his own. He did make a counter argument strong enough for Mac to then raise his kind of shotgun at him and get ready to blast his CPU all over the walls. So it depends. Like, do you think an because an LMD is basically AI that is capable of thinking for itself. It can follow orders if you program it to, but then it also does like Ada is programmed to follow orders no matter what. So then she can come up with she does come up with her own theories and her own kind of possible routes to go down, but then for the most part she does follow orders without question. But then with May's thing, it's like, you have to pretend to be your human counterpart as authentically as possible up until you come across whatever matches your mission directive. So then I think it depends on the LMD too. If it's an LMD like Ada, then there's little difficulty, but then her voice and face are very human. Her appearance and her demeanor and her kind of manner of interacting with you is very, very human. So it's hard to it can be hard to disassociate from that. Like it's a whole topic. It's a whole topic that I likely can't really get into in this one video. But it's a whole topic and it's a very, very interesting topic. So it's definitely, I think I personally feel like it's one that could be worth getting into and one that could be worth exploring. But it's a whole thing, so I think it depends on, like, especially if you're talking about LMDs, it depends on the type of LMD. If it's Ada, then it's less difficult to come to somewhat of a conclusion. But then if it's May, then you're dealing with someone who genuinely believes and thinks that they are real and will come up with actual genuine arguments to try and defend their own existence and defend their own legitimacy as a version of the identity that they have actually been given. So yeah, it's crazy stuff, and again, it reminds me of the gangers. It reminds me of the gangers from Doctor Who. So and I think when it comes to these kinds of topics within sci-fi, it's something that's definitely worth exploring and worth fleshing out. And then as well as that, it's also interesting to see all the different ways you can take it to. It's interesting to see all the different ways and all the different kind of styles of of exploration that the writers can actually explore. So it's cool. And another point to mention about the LMDs is that they cracked open Radcliffe's head. They cracked open Radcliffe's head and found the brain. So that was, a few episodes back. I think it was again directly the episode in. It was like the kind of mid-credit scene in the episode that they saved Fitz and Coulson and Robbie in. Like, we saw Ada was in her kind of lab and she was actually using the same tech, the same kind of finger glove line drawing technology to actually create and design like a human looking brain, like a human brain looking brain. So yeah, and I think my theory back then was in fact that she could have been creating it for herself. Maybe she was actually creating it to give herself some form of like sentience or additional sentience and stuff, like maybe creating like human like more humanizing parts for herself. So I think the brain, the brain is unarguably one of the biggest and most important kind of humanizing kind of organs, and it's also like in the sense of give it, and especially I did actually go back and watch the scene in which in like where Radcliffe, where LMD Radcliffe and Mac are talking, and he even like the way he explained it was that souls can't necessarily, or like souls don't necessarily come with or from human flesh and blood vessels, or even the wired mechanical vessels that LMDs have, so they must come from somewhere that's disconnected from physical forms and everything. So I think it's not necessarily thinking of it too much in like religious terms or anything, but I think it is kind of looking at it in the sense that like souls are kind of inherently more powerful than the vessels that they're inside. So souls, I think it's also making you question what exactly a soul is, what a soul means to you. For some people, I think largely the answer is more kind of spiritual than anything else, but then it can also mean what does it mean in terms of like human life, and what does it mean in terms of like what it means to you, like how do you feel about having a soul, or how do you define the concept of having a soul? So it can mean like being human and feeling emotions and being able to comprehend emotions and all these different kinds of things. And it's likely, I think, with you know, especially when you take like the concept of a soul and apply it to an LMD, which is essentially an android. Because I think it's the same way you might look at Vision too. Like, you know, he has the mind. He doesn't have the Soul Stone. He doesn't know. It would be super ironic if we actually had Vision with the Soul Stone instead of the Mind Stone. But he has the Mind Stone, and I think it's also like I think that like thinking about it with Vision kind of makes me tie back into Bruce's line from Infinity War being like, you know, his Vision's kind of sentience, Vision's existence, and his AI at that point in Infinity War is made up of like the Stone, Jarvis, Bruce's kind of AI intelligence, and Tony's kind of coding. It's also like it's made up of a bunch of different things, and that's what makes up Vision. So yeah, so then the idea then being, you know, even if you take out the Stone, you could see chances are you could still have Vision. And as we saw in WandaVision, you definitely can have Vision. Not only can you still have Vision, but you can also reprogram him to be whatever you want, as what's his name, as Hayward, the director of S.W.O.R.D., as he did. Like they rebuilt him without needing the Stone, but they still used the power from the chaos magic kind of ridden like drone that they sent into the Hex, and they still use that to power him up. So he didn't have the Stone. He still had like a little diamondy kind of circuitry kind of thing in his forehead, but he didn't have the Stone. But I think not having the Stone and rebuilding him allowed them to actually kind of reprogram him for their own needs. So I think, you know, like not having the Stone too, I think, you know. And I think in that case, it's the added extensiveness of actually being able to rebuild him from scratch, but then also, like, you know, like having one less thing to worry about also means that they can actually put in something of their own and stuff. And then, like, Vision himself, like, even the Hex Vision did have to actually touch that centerpiece to actually to reintegrate his memories and to kind of remind him of what he used to be, because that is technically the real Vision. Like, the Vision, the white Vision, the grey Vision, like whatever you want to call him, like he technically is the actual real Vision. He's the one that died in Infinity War and then got the Stone ripped out, and Hex Vision is the one created from Wanda's memories, her love, and everything. So his soul, I believe, you know, I think it's also like a mixture of that. I think honestly, right, I think the soul concept can be added better with Hex Vision, because that is a Vision like manufactured from Wanda's soul at that point. I think you could look at it in terms of love and compassion and memories and all that kind of stuff. Like she created like an entire kind of Hex thing, but then, you know, like unarguably the more kind of powerful thing was that she created like an actual sentient being, albeit with some memory loss, but that was still somewhat intentional. So, or like just somewhat like a side effect, like a fortuitous side effect. So with that one, I think, you know, I think Vision's kind of soul, like, Vision's like soul and his existence at that point was maybe somewhat more powerful, given that he was created by love and he was created from Wanda's grief and everything. So yeah, so I think with LMDs, it's like, and especially with May too, because I think it's brain, like they clarified that, you know, like it's been more than one brain that's actually been created from this technology, and, you know, I think with LMD May it comes in even stronger because of the fact that, you know, with that one we haven't really seen the concept of existence and like the idea of like sentience and you know, like an android having a soul being applied to anyone stronger than her, like her story over the past few episodes, like since we've discovered that May was an LMD, like, you know, she even like, you know, like even she discovers that she's an LMD much later than we do. Like we only realize it because of the fact that, you know, the real May is actually sedated and locked up in Radcliffe's office. But then even then, it's not until she gets an injury that then allows her to discover who she is. So even up until then, she's pretty much programmed to be the real her. But then even then, it's like, it's not like she actively has to search through her code to figure out what to say. It's like she's literally been given the brain by Ada that allows her to feel and think exactly like the original May, to the point where even Coulson doesn't realize it's not her until she refuses to follow an order, and until she refuses to follow an order, and until she has the Darkhold and she refuses to follow his orders. Up until then, he's completely convinced that she is the real May, and then even the rest of the team don't know, and Fitzsimmons don't find out until Radcliffe mentions multiple brains having been created this way, and then you know, Simmons remembers that May's brain was literally mapped out in Radcliffe's laboratory and everything. So it's like, I think that goes to show just how well once she finds out, she goes straight to Radcliffe. She doesn't actually think about going to the team. But then even after that, it's revealed that it's because of Radcliffe's programming that he made her not want to tell the team about what she really is or what's really going on. So, but even then, it's like, you know, she, like, inside, she even has that desire to actually want to be seen. Like so far, she's insisted to Radcliffe that she's the real May, and even in this episode, to Coulson, she's like, you know, I am the real May. Like, she genuinely so forcefully believes it, and like it's like, you know, like it's pretty much like instinctive to her, and she even justifies it with having the same memories and having the same thoughts. Like even with the past memories still being there, she still has the kind of thought process readily available that pushes her forward to be the real May, as opposed to being like an LMD May. So I think looking at her looking at LMD May like that, I think, you know, it does kind of make you wonder, like, you know, like maybe, just maybe, that like that brain that Ada created actually does act as like an actual humanizing kind of agent of some kind, or or maybe that is like her soul. Maybe that is like her soul, because these LMDs are not physically created to actually be human, but then you give them the ability to actually believe and think that they are human, and then they might just be able to surprise you. And I think after hearing it initially, I was like, okay, this is either some just kind of general Latin speech or line or phrase, or it's an incantation, because I think even like his tone of voice and the delivery to me made it sound somewhat like an incantation. And even like the way his voice was distorted and the way his LMD was glitching and twitching out and everything, it felt pretty demonic. And even Mac mentioned, like, you know, the only thing worse than a regular robot is a possessed one. So possessed technology is not fun to have to interact with or deal with. So yes, then that makes you wonder, like, what really is it? Because I think if like activating that code or even like touching it or tampering with it makes the LMD go like that, like turn into all Latin stuff and makes it go all demonic, I think that kind of power comes from the Darkhold. So where does the Darkhold really come from then? Like, is that like some kind of hellish, like, is it some kind of hellish creation? Is it really from like the depths of hell, or is it from like another dimension? Like, is that like some that I mean for me, the Darkhold has to be a Mephisto creation, or like a Mephisto connection of some kind, like maybe like you've got the Bible from on God's end, and then you got the Darkhold on the devil's end. So it's like, oh, and then so like, you know, so then I mean, yeah, I think that would make sense. That would actually, I think putting it like that, it actually makes more sense, because now it's like, you know, like with the Bible, like the concept of the Bible is like, you know, like it kind of gives you teachings, and it gives you ideals to follow, and it kind of tells you how to treat other people ideally in like the best way possible and stuff, and it kind of like gives you all these guidings and teachings. So it's like with the Bible, it's already kind of written there, and no disappearing from the page, no telling you what to think. But then with the Darkhold, it tempts you, it brings you in, it shows you just a glimpse. Like, that's literally what it did to Radcliffe. Like Radcliffe said, he only saw a glimpse, and it was more than he had ever imagined, so he needed more. He wanted more, and he needed more. So like the Darkhold is literally like the Bible, but from the devil. So then it tempts you with all this knowledge. You want all this power, like power that you shouldn't have, because again, the brains themselves, like Fitz said that it was literally quantum energy stored in data, and last time quantum energy was tampered with, it was at the hands of Eli, and he gave himself powers that he shouldn't have, and like he stored quantum energy in a dimension that it didn't belong in. So, you know, tampering with quantum energy is literally just like a big no-no, and it's also somewhat more further explored in Ant-Man as well. So with Ant-Man, I mean, with that one, it's like we have the quantum realm, which is less somewhat hellish depending on how you do it, because I think with the first Ant-Man movie, it showed how good, like how far subatomic you can really go, to the point where you've lost everything and you're like mini microscopic and everything, and you're just floating around for all of eternity and everything. So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania should give us a lot more. But I mean, that one, I think with that one, they also take quantum energy too. Like at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, like the post-credit scene, we see, like, as the others are blipped away, we see Scott going in on like a tether, and he's storing quantum energy in the canister to actually deliver to Ghost, so that then she can, you know, like repair herself and everything. So there's that one. Which I don't know if that would, I don't know if that would actually affect, because I think, to be fair though, I think they mess with quantum energy in a way that might be less dangerous. Like they don't really steal anything for power, but they kind of like they harness it in a way that nothing leaks out, whereas with Eli, like he created like that giant kind of storage box where the energy was actually being like stored like way too loosely, and he was even giving himself power. He was actually giving himself physical power, and then with Ghost it was literally like a it was literally an accident that gave her powers that she never asked for, and then even like amidst the cool powers, she was also physically in pain and suffering. So she wanted that to be over. Like her focus was not her ability. Like she utilized her ability, sure. Also, Hydra Shield, utilized her abilities and weaponized her and everything, but then like none of that was anything that she asked for, whereas Eli intentionally wanted the power from the Darkhold. So then it's like the Darkhold is definitely, I think I feel like that's a somewhat accurate way of looking at it. Like the Darkhold is literally the Bible but from the devil. Like he tempts you with all this knowledge and all this knowledge that is incredibly dangerous, because again it teaches you how to mess with other dimensions and their power and their energies, and it teaches you how to bring it into yours. And that was also explored in Doctor Strange. Which makes sense why the Darkhold would be in the restricted section. Okay, I'm coming to a lot of realizations. With this review. So the Darkhold literally teaches you how to mess with other dimensions, powers, and energies in order to create things that otherwise would not be possible. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so then so I think going forward then, we just see. I think I don't know if they're gonna create even more LMDs, because I think we've. Because I trust they were burning Radcliffe. I trust they were burning the Radcliffe one at the end of the episode, because then they already figured out what it was. But then I think they already have another, like I think they already know like another brain like that is already in May, so there's no need to keep Radcliffe around, and he's only going to be there to antagonize people in LMD form. So it's easy to just burn that one down, and then like this May could just be the key to helping them find the real May too. I mean. Yeah, but yeah, and I'm also intrigued to see, again, like, linking back to the Gangers thing, because in the Gangers storyline, like, I can't remember what her name was. I think it was, like, Jenny or Jennifer or something, or I think probably Jenny, like she, like, her Ganger kind of went down a much more villainous path, where she kept on being antagonized by people refusing to believe that she was the real Jenny, or that she was the real one, but then over time, her anger and her fear and her overall kind of negative kind of emotional state kind of led her to mutating into this giant. Like, I mean, that was like pretty much alien sci-fi, so that happened to her. But then I'm wondering what kind of path it will take this May down, because this May, I think if they keep on telling her that they need her help looking for the real May, then she's going to be antagonized too. So I don't know if she's actually going to end up fighting back, or if she's going to end up actually lashing out or something, and that's not going to help her case. But then in the end, I think, because then I feel like she might then realize, because then she might also know that Radcliffe, the LMD, is maybe gone. But then she might also realize that she helps them find May, and then she helps them find May all the while knowing that she likely won't really last for too long once the real May is back. So then she gets shut down, and that's her last thought, like, oh, I'm being shut down because I'm not real to them. I'm not like a real living kind of being or a real person to them. I'm not like a real identity. I'm just like an imitation, almost like a mimicry, pretty much. Yeah, and again, I just can't help but feel sorry for LMD May in this, like, especially in this episode, like, especially that ending for her too, like she, pleading Radcliffe to take her with him, but then he's like, sorry, honey, you've served your purpose, you've served your mission, like, your one and only mission was to get me the Darkhold, and you've done it, so good job, have a cookie on me or something, but I've got to go now, and you're literally of no use to me. So she literally gets dropped just like that. Once Radcliffe has the book, she's no longer of use to him, and then she's stuck with, having no other purpose left and everything. So I just feel sorry for her now, and she even has May's memory, so she knows that May herself has wanted to, has wanted to kiss Coulson, and that she has wanted to share that connection with Coulson. So then she feels the weight and like the emotional she likely feels the weight and the emotional depth of those memories, and she has that, she feels the same like drive and that same kind of emotional kind of motivation herself, like she wants to kiss Coulson just as much as the real May wants to kiss Coulson and everything. So You know, so honestly, like Ming-Na Wen, I can't believe I've waited this long. Ming-Na Wen is an incredible actress too. Like she is pulling off this role of LMD May in such like a not just such a believable way, but also pulling off all these scenes with LMD May actually fighting to justify her existence and to validate her own existence and to actually prove to people that she is real. Like, you know, Ming-Na is knocking it out of the park with these LMD May scenes in these episodes and everything. Like, that arc alone is such an interesting, like, version of May to explore too. Like, because it's not like it's really not like a May we're meant to hate or meant to vilify, or it's not a May we're meant to dislike in any way. And she makes it really easy to sympathize because, again, this May is not inherently bad. Like, she was given a mission to do, and then now that she's completed that mission, you know, she's just been kind of dropped by Radcliffe, and now it's like, you know, do whatever you want, I don't really care anymore, I've got the book. So and he's still got Ada is his prized possession. Ada is his one true LMD kind of partner, so that's pretty much the only one he cares about. So yeah, but yeah, that is pretty much all I've got. That is pretty much all I have from this one. So as per usual, these reviews, I feel like are getting longer and longer, which I don't really have the biggest amount of control over, because again, I ramble quite a bit. I have no, there are little to no limitations when it comes to my rambling, but hopefully it still makes for entertaining rambling, and hopefully you guys still enjoy these reviews despite how long they are. So hopefully it still kind of serves to kind of solidify and to solidify the video in some way. But yeah, there's a lot there's a lot my mind thinks about during these episodes, and there's a lot. I think the more you have to talk about, the more, you know, the better what you're watching is, because then it's actually giving you more to talk about, it's giving you more to think about. So hopefully you guys do feel the same way, but then if not, then hopefully the reaction is still more than enough to keep you occupied and keep you entertained. So either way, as long as you're enjoying it, I'm good. So thank you for coming back here and watching and enjoying. So, but yeah, hopefully this all comes to a solid conclusion. So I can't wait to see where the story goes on from here. So yeah, that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 12. So thank you guys, as always, for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Once again, the full-length reaction will be available on Patreon, so you can go check that over there. And yeah, that is it. So, I will see you guys next time.